Who's really making the decisions in your life? Is it you or is it fear? It's not an easy question, but it's one worth asking. Look back at your last few choices. Did you move towards something meaningful or step away from something uncomfortable? Did you speak your truth or hold it in to keep the peace? Did you say no because it wasn't right for you or felt too risky? Fear has a way of blending in. It rarely announces itself. Sometimes it sounds like logic, caution, or the voice of someone you once trusted. But when fear is in charge, your life slowly starts to shrink. That's why today we're looking at how to stop letting fear lead. Not in theory, but in practice. Not someday, but starting now. And like Winston Churchill said, fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. It's instinctive, uninvited. It rises before we even realize what's happening. It tightens the chest, floods the body, and fogs the mind. It's our biology doing its job, keeping us safe. Alert, ready. But left unchecked, fear doesn't just protect you, it imprisons you. It talks you out of growth. It rewrites your dreams into compromises. It turns your potential into a safety plan. Courage, though, is something else entirely. It doesn't arrive on command. It's not something you stumble into. It's chosen, decided, and lived. Courage is when you step forward while fear tells you to run. When you speak, even when your voice shakes. When you move, even when the path is unclear. And so we return to the question: is fear leading your life? Is fear driving while you quietly adjust the mirrors and call it control? Because when fear leads, it doesn't just touch a single choice. It slowly reshapes everything. But here's the good news. Fear may be the reaction, but it doesn't have to be the ruler. You can decide to choose courage. Not all at once, not perfectly, but moment by moment, breath by breath. So let's begin. This is how to stop letting fear lead. Let's unravel it together. More often than not, fear rarely shows up with drama. It doesn't slam doors or shout its presence across the room. More often, it enters quietly. It slips in unnoticed, whispering just beneath the surface of your thoughts. It dresses itself in the clothes of logic, disguises itself as caution, and sometimes even pretends to be wisdom. You've probably heard its voice before. It says things like, "You're not ready. You might fail. Now's not the time. Wait until you're more qualified. What if you embarrass yourself?" These phrases feel familiar because fear is built into who we are. It's part of our biology, a survival instinct designed to keep us from harm. Thousands of years ago, fear kept us alive. It kept our ancestors from walking into danger, facing predators, and taking unnecessary risks. But we don't live in the savannah anymore. We're not constantly surrounded by physical threats. Today's challenges are different. They show up in the form of relationships, career moves, creativity, self-expression, and personal growth. Yet fear still reacts as if everything unfamiliar is a threat. It pulls back the reins when something feels uncertain. It holds us in place when everything inside us is ready to move forward. This brings us to a hard but necessary question. Is fear protecting you, or is it paralyzing you? Is it truly keeping you safe, or is it holding you back from something meaningful? The difference matters. When fear leads the way, it changes how you appear in the world. It makes you say yes to things you don't actually believe in. It makes you hold your tongue when you have something important to say. It keeps you from asking the hard questions that lead to real clarity. It makes you small in rooms where you should stand tall. And sometimes, it convinces you to stay in places, roles, or relationships you've long outgrown. Fear doesn't always stop you with a scream. Often, it persuades you with a soft voice. It tells you that playing it safe is wise, that certainty is always better than risk, that comfort is more important than growth. And without even realizing it, your life begins to shrink around the edges. When fear takes the lead, growth falls behind, and so does your potential. That's why the first step to change is not about silencing fear. Fear will always be part of being human. The first step is about choosing something stronger than fear. That something is courage. But to move forward, we need to redefine what courage looks like, because it may not look how you expect. Let's take a moment to unpack this further, because understanding courage as a decision, not just a feeling or a moment, has profound implications for how we live every day. When we think about courage as a decision, it means we are invited to step into a space of power and responsibility. We no longer wait for fear to disappear or for some magical surge of bravery to appear. Instead, we recognize that we actively choose courage, even in the face of discomfort, uncertainty, and doubt. This choice is not a one-time event, but a constant practice. It's a series of small, often invisible acts that, when combined, shape who we become and the lives we lead. Consider how often you've heard yourself say, "I'll be brave when the timing is right, when you feel ready, and when the conditions are perfect." This mindset puts courage out of reach, because life rarely waits for perfect conditions. There will always be risks, unknowns, and vulnerabilities. But being courageous means acknowledging those realities and moving forward anyway. You accept that discomfort is part of growth, not a sign of retreat. This decision to choose courage over fear shifts the power dynamic. Fear no longer holds the keys to your choices. You hold them. When fear was just a reaction, it controlled your automatic responses: hesitation, withdrawal, and silence. But when courage becomes a decision, it introduces intention. It means showing up with awareness, knowing the risks, feeling the fear, and deciding what comes next on your terms. This is not about denying fear or pretending it isn't there. In fact, true courage is acknowledged fearfully. It recognizes fear as a signal, a natural part of being human, but refuses to let that signal dictate the entire narrative. Courage is the voice that says, "Yes, I'm afraid, but I'm still going." Imagine for a moment what your life would look like if you practiced this kind of courage daily. How would your relationships change if you chose to speak honestly instead of staying silent? What doors could open if you decided to pursue your goals despite the doubts? What inner freedom could you experience by refusing to let fear define your story? This is the transformative power of deciding courage over fear. It rewrites the script you've been living with. It turns moments of hesitation into opportunities for growth. It teaches you to trust yourself, not because fear is gone, but because you have learned to move forward with fear. And that is why the question is crucial. Are you reacting to life, or are you deciding how you show up in it? Reactions happen fast. They often come from places deep inside us: our instincts, past experiences, and survival mechanisms. These reactions served a purpose when we needed to avoid danger or stay safe. But in our modern lives, they can hold us back, keeping us trapped in patterns that no longer serve our growth or happiness. Decisions, however, are different. They require us to pause, reflect, and consider our values and goals. They give us a moment to choose consciously rather than be carried by automatic responses. Choosing courage means claiming that pause. It means saying no to autopilot and yes to intentional living. This shift from reaction to decision is at the heart of how to stop letting fear lead in your life. It's not about eliminating fear. That's impossible. Instead, it's about changing who holds the reins. It's about stepping out of the passenger seat and into the driver's seat of your own story. So, how do you start? How do you build the muscle of choosing courage? We'll explore that next. Meanwhile, choosing the next courageous action is not about leaping to the finish line. It's about taking one step forward when the path ahead feels uncertain or even frightening. This approach is at the heart of how to stop letting fear lead, as Winston Churchill's insight reveals. Instead of letting fear dictate your choices, you decide to take control, one small, deliberate decision at a time. Consider the power in these small acts. Making a phone call you've delayed because of anxiety can be a turning point. Scheduling that meeting you've been avoiding might open doors you never imagined. Saying no to something that drains your energy is a bold declaration of self-respect. Saying yes to new opportunities invites growth. Letting yourself be seen, sharing your authentic thoughts or feelings breaks the chains fear tries to wrap around you. Though these actions may seem minor or awkward, they are the building blocks of courage. Courage does not always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, "I will try again tomorrow." When you commit to making these small, courageous choices regularly, you shift how your brain responds to fear. What once triggered hesitation or retreat slowly transforms into a habit of forward movement. This is a gradual process of rewiring your mindset and your reactions. Fear is a natural response in your biology, designed to keep you safe. But safety, in this sense, can mean staying small, playing it safe, and missing out on life's fullness. Courage, by contrast, is a decision to move beyond that safety, to embrace uncertainty, and to risk discomfort in pursuit of growth and authenticity. So the question becomes, what courageous decision can you make right now? It's not overwhelming or grandiose, but the next step aligns with who you want to be. This moment is your opportunity to choose courage over overreaction. Stop letting fear lead you and start taking the driver's seat in your life. When you live by this principle, you begin to see fear differently. Not as a prison, but as a signal. Fear tells you where growth is possible. It points toward the edges of your comfort zone, where true transformation happens. The more you choose courage, the more those edges expand. In this way, living with courage becomes a daily practice. It means embracing imperfection and uncertainty, knowing that courage does not mean the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. This mindset shift is the foundation of lasting change and empowerment. Remember, the journey to stop letting fear lead isn't about perfection. It's about progress, decision by decision, step by step. Each courageous choice rewrites the story of who you are and who you can become. So, take that next step today. Choose courage. Choose to lead your life, not be led by fear. Now imagine looking back a year from now. Fear still visits, as it always will. It is part of being human, wired into our system. But this time, fear no longer holds the reins. It no longer decides your path or controls your steps. Instead, you have learned how to stop letting fear lead by choosing courage. Picture yourself speaking up in meetings, sharing your ideas, even when your heart races. Imagine walking away from toxic patterns that have held you back for years. Visualize trusting yourself enough to start over, even when the outcome is uncertain. See yourself pursuing your dreams without waiting for anyone's permission or approval. This is what happens when courage takes the lead. It does not mean fear disappears, but it no longer dictates your life. You stop reacting to circumstances and start creating your story with intention. You become the author of your journey, deciding how you show up every day despite the doubts or worries whispering in the background. So here is the question to hold close. What story do you want to tell about your life? Will it be one of playing it safe, avoiding risks, and retreating to comfort? Or will it be a story of boldness, where you chose courage even when it was hard? There is a profound truth in knowing that we all leave behind a legacy. It is not only about the things we dared to do, but also about the chances we did not take. Fear offers the promise of safety, but it also provides a smaller, more limited life. On the other hand, courage hands you the pen and invites you to write a story worth reading. If you are wondering how to stop letting fear lead, remember Winston Churchill's powerful words. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. Let those words echo within you. Let them remind you that every day presents a choice. Will you react and retreat, or decide and advance? By choosing courage again and again, you reclaim your power. You take the lead in your life. In doing so, you create a future shaped by intention, growth, and authenticity. This is the path to living fully, learning how to stop letting fear lead and instead let courage guide your way. If something in this video spoke to your current season of life, leave a comment below. Was there a moment, a question, or a line that hit you? We'd love to hear what resonated. Every video on this channel is made with one purpose: to help you pause, reflect, and grow from exactly where you are. Whether you're facing something challenging, healing from something old, or stepping into something new, we want to be the quiet voice that reminds you, you are not your fear. You are your decision. Until next time, keep choosing courage, one small moment at a time. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.